Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, September 9, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gen. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reports over 2,000 new COVID-19 infections on Thursday as cluster infections continue across the nation. Meanwhile, some 870,000 Moderna vaccines are set to arrive in the country this afternoon. North Korea has reportedly held a military parade in commemoration of its 73rd founding anniversary, as sources saw people gathering near Kim Il-sung Square from Wednesday evening and fireworks in downtown Pyongyang from midnight. And BTS's music video for Fake Love recorded over 1 billion views on YouTube as of Wednesday morning, becoming the group's fifth music video to reach the landmark figure. Our top story this morning, South Korea, for a second consecutive day, saw the daily caseload go over the 2,000 mark. The capital region continues to account for the majority of all cases, putting authorities on the alert ahead of a major holiday in just a couple of weeks. For more, we have our Kim Do-yeon at the News Center. Do-yeon, what's the latest?
Morgan, first, South Korea reported 2,049 new cases of COVID-19 on Thursday, of which all but 31 were locally transmitted. For the case number to go over the 2,000 mark for 2 days in a row is not a common occurrence, meaning the spread isn't slowing down at the moment. In addition, while the total number of cases was down by just one, local transmissions were actually higher today. On the week-to-week, it's an increase of 88, indicating there are no signs of the spread since last week. In addition, the capital region, like you said, is still battling the spread. Currently, the capital region accounts for more than 70% of all cases on Thursday. This is after months of the high social distancing level being imposed in the region. Plus, during the Chuseok holiday, measures will be eased and massive movement is expected from the capital region to the rest of the country, so authorities are very concerned. One piece of good news, however, is the continued arrival of additional vaccine supplies as the inoculation campaign picks up speed. Just today, close to 900,000 doses of Moderna vaccine will arrive in the afternoon. Late on Wednesday night, small business owners nationwide once again took to the streets in protest against the South Korean government's social distancing rules. The protest took the form of a drive-through rally where business owners demanded changes to current social distancing rules that are based on types of facilities and not individual businesses. Small business owners have been hit particularly hard by social distancing measures for over a year, with limited operation hours, forced closures, and reduced customer numbers, to mention a few. Police in Seoul estimated that around 120 cars had attended the protest, but according to the activist group, it was around 2,000. Similar protests took place in 9 cities around the country simultaneously. Police asked the protesters to disperse, saying the protests had not previously been reported to them, and will also review the situation to see if any virus prevention guidelines had been broken. Now, over in the U.S., children below the age of 18 now make up more than a quarter of weekly COVID-19 cases. Just last week, more than 250,000 children tested positive for the virus as schools reopened for in-person classes. This is the first time that there has been such a high number of cases in this age group, and there is growing demand for parents to roll out vaccines to minors. Experts expect authorization for vaccines made specifically for 5 to 11-year-olds to come near winter. This comes as the whole nation is seeing a surge in cases. The number of deaths and those in hospital has jumped more than twofold year on year. The COVAX facility, a global scheme to provide COVID-19 vaccines to poorer nations, says its goal for this year's supply will be cut by 30%. Previously, the goal was 2 billion doses, but it has changed the set target to just more than 1.4 billion doses. According to the group, the shortage is the result of a variety of factors, including export restrictions on the Serum Institute of India, a major supplier, and manufacturing problems at Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca.
In other news, North Korea appears to have staged another military parade in commemoration of its 73rd founding anniversary. If confirmed, it would be the third time since it held such a large-scale event late at night. For more, we have our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Dami on the line for us. Dami, give us the details.
Mugan, as widely expected, North Korea appears to have carried out a military parade at Kim Il-sung Square in Pyongyang after midnight on Thursday. The regime on Thursday marked the 73rd anniversary of its national founding. An official from Seoul's Joint Chief of Staff said the South Korean military is closely monitoring and analyzing the move. But the details are not yet known, including whether the leader Kim Jong-un attended the event and delivered a speech and what kind of weapons were unveiled. If confirmed, the midnight military parade will be the third of its kind after the last one in October to mark the ruling Workers' Party's 75th anniversary and the last one in January after a rare party congress. Last October, the North unveiled a new intercontinental ballistic missile, a summer-launched ballistic missile, and other advanced military assets. But it is odd for the North to stage a military parade on the 73rd anniversary, considering it normally does one on every 5th or 10th anniversary. Observers note it could be to strengthen internal solidarity by taming people's complaints over recent flood damage and prolonged international sanctions on the reclusive regime. Thursday's event comes less than a week before the chief nuclear envoys of Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo are set to meet in Japan to discuss North Korea issues. And top diplomats from Seoul and Beijing will also hold talks next week. The North State media is expected to release a recorded military parade on Thursday night like it did last October. That's all I have. Back to you, Mogan.
Thank you, Dami. Do keep us updated. The leaders of China and Russia congratulated North Korea on its 73rd founding anniversary. North Korea's state-run broadcaster, Korean Central Television, on Thursday said Presidents Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin sent congratulatory messages to Kim Jong-un, highlighting their ties to Pyongyang. Each leader reportedly said they valued their relations with North Korea and hope to develop stronger cooperation in various sectors. Leaders from Cuba and Vietnam also sent congratulatory messages. Last year, the U.S. blocked more than $30 million of North Korean funds as part of an economic sanction program targeting international terrorist organizations. According to an annual report by the U.S. Treasury Department Wednesday, around $140 million in assets related to 3 countries designated as sponsors of terrorism, including Iran, Syria, and North Korea, were blocked in 2020. This includes nearly $31.7 million of funds from the North, which is $80,000 more than the amount in 2019. North Korea was redesignated as a sponsor of terrorism by the State Department in 2017. The sanctions do not only target the government, but also individuals and entities acting on its behalf. So the reported figure may include blocked assets from all these parties. North Korea, the only country that did not send athletes to the Tokyo Olympic Games, has now been banned by the International Olympic Committee from competing until the end of next year. The suspension covers the upcoming Beijing Winter Olympics. Kim Hyo-san reports.
The IOC has decided to ban North Korea from competing at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympic Games, punishing the country for its Tokyo Games no-show.
Therefore, the IOC Executive Board addressed this situation and decided today that the National Olympic Committee of the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea is suspended until the end of the year 2022 as a result of its unilateral decision not to participate in the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020.
The committee explained that the North Korean Olympic Committee would not receive financial support during the suspension period and would definitely forfeit support that had previously been withheld due to sanctions. However, it added that the IOC did reserve the right to make decisions regarding individual North Korean athletes who qualify for the 2022 Winter Games. North Korea was the only country of some 200 competing nations that did not send athletes to Tokyo, citing the need to protect its athletes from COVID-19. To this, the IOC says it had warned the country of the consequences of not participating. While Seoul had hoped that the upcoming Winter Games would serve as an opportunity to re-engage in dialogue with the North, it's left to be seen whether this would be possible due to the IOC's latest decision. Kim Il-sun, Arirang News.
Japan has decided to remove the terms military comfort women and forced conscription when describing victims of wartime sexual slavery in its textbooks. Instead, it's replacing these terms with comfort women and conscription. The latest move is expected to bring strong backlash from the victims' countries, including South Korea. Min Suk-hyun reports.
Following Tokyo's decision earlier this year to officially adopt the view that it's appropriate to remove the word military when describing victims of wartime sexual slavery, the term military comfort women is being removed from Japanese textbooks. The term forced conscription, implying that the women were taken against their will, is also being replaced by the term conscription. Kyodo News on Wednesday reported that the Education Ministry approved 5 textbook companies that wish to make such changes. It added that modifications are likely to be made not only to the books currently in use, but also to those from next semester. Back in April, during a cabinet meeting, the Japanese government decided that it was right to simply use the term comfort women, claiming that the previous term could lead to misunderstandings. In response, South Korea expressed regret over Tokyo's decision, saying that the forced mobilization, recruitment, and transfer of women is a historical fact that cannot be denied. Seoul's foreign ministry stressed that the testimonies of the survivors are strong and clear evidence which prove that women were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military. Min Suk-hyun, Arirang News.
The Taliban has announced the formation of an interim government for Afghanistan with established hardliners filling all key posts. No women were given representation despite the militant group's previous pledges to establish an inclusive government for all Afghans. Women have been taking to the streets in protest. The Taliban are using violence to disperse them, leaving a dozen civilians killed or wounded. Meanwhile, the former Afghan president who fled the country immediately after the Taliban took control of Kabul apologized to the people of Afghanistan in a statement issued on Wednesday. He said that it's deeply regretful that he has ended up in similar tragedy to his predecessors without being able to bring stability and prosperity to the country. U.S. President Joe Biden on Wednesday nominated Lucy Koh for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, putting her in line to become the first female U.S. Appeals Court judge of Korean descent. The 53-year-old, whose Korean name is Korean, is a judge on the Northern District of California and became the first U.S. District Court judge of Korean descent in 2010. The White House announced Koh's nomination, introducing her as the first Korean-American woman to serve as a federal high court judge. The Ninth Circuit has jurisdiction over California, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, Alaska, and the Western Districts of Hawaii. Koh is known as an expert in patent, trade, secret, and commercial law litigation. The U.S. economy downshifted slightly to a more moderate pace in early July through August, following a surge in COVID-19 cases from the Delta variant. According to the Federal Reserve on Wednesday, the deceleration in economic activity was largely due to a drop in dining out, travel, and tourism across the country. It also added that inflation was reported to be steady at an elevated pace, with costs for metals and other industrial staples rising in most areas. Looking ahead, the central bank said businesses remain optimistic about their near-term prospects despite widespread concern over ongoing supply disruptions and shortages. South Korea is betting big on the energy shift to hydrogen. The country's largest firms have launched a consultative body to help create a hydrogen power value chain. This was on the sidelines of the hydrogen industry's H2 Mobility Plus Energy Show, which kicked off on Wednesday. Our Ji-young was there and sent us this report.
An air-purifying hydrogen fuel tram that can carry 100 people at once. A mobile hydrogen refueling station that can be used in remote areas. a hydrogen-powered car that can recognize a driver's voice and change the position of the steering wheel. Visitors encountered all these at South Korea's hydrogen industry exhibition, the H2 Mobility Plus Energy Show. This is the second year that the event is being held, and more than 150 companies and research institutions from 12 countries are showcasing their latest hydrogen technologies.
As many companies from home and abroad gather at this event to share their technologies and meet new business partners, I believe it can be a growth engine for the hydrogen industry and help tackle climate change.
Hyundai Motor Group revealed its first prototype of a hydrogen-powered hybrid sports car called the Vision FK, which can go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 4 seconds. Hyundai also unveiled a new container transport vehicle called e-bogie trailer drone. Unlike conventional cargo trucks, the trailer drone is powered by a hydrogen fuel cell that only emits pure water as a byproduct. Also on the sidelines, leaders of 15 major groups involved in the sector, including Hyundai Motor Chairman Jung Ui-sun and SK Group Chairman Choi Tae-won, gathered for the Korea H2 Business Summit. The new body aims to stimulate investment in the hydrogen sector and help Korea go carbon neutral. 5 conglomerates, including Hyundai, SK, and POSCO, pledged to invest over $37 billion into hydrogen by 2030. Some SMEs said financial assistance from the government would also help develop the industry.
We always say to the government officials that it will be always great to have a lowered price, maybe some subsidiaries for the electricity price so that the green hydrogen price can go down.
South Korea's Presidential Committee on Carbon Neutrality planned to come up with a detailed roadmap in October on going carbon neutral by 2050. Ji-young, Arirang News.
K-pop sensation BTS has hit another billion milestone. The group's music video for Fake Love, uploaded on YouTube, recorded over 1 billion views as of Wednesday morning. This is the group's 5th music video to reach the landmark figure following Dynamite and DNA. Fake Love is a song from the band's Love Yourself Tear album released in 2018 and had previously sat at the top of the Billboard 200 charts for 15 consecutive weeks, making BTS the first Korean band to achieve the feat. The world's largest craft biennale opened in Cheongju. Over 1,000 pieces of art and craft are on display with a focus on nature and environment. Our Kim Bo-kyung reports.
In the Culture Factory, a converted tobacco factory in Cheongju, Chungcheongbuk-do Province, the 40-day Cheongju Craft Biennale opened on Wednesday under the theme Tools of Conviviality. Organizers say the pandemic made it tough to invite overseas artists and bring in artwork from abroad. But they believe it is the right time to introduce craft in depth, as its own nature-friendly characteristics remind us of the importance of nature and the environment.
Natural materials are used for crafts, and once made, they are used for a long time. In terms of sustainability, crafts might help people realize how much they are used to consuming and disposing single-use things.
One craftsman only uses sticks she grows herself to make baskets, and another who won this year's Cheongju International Craft Competition uses horsehair.
It's just a strand of hair, but when stitched together, it becomes a solid structure. It takes a lot of time to make such forms, and I learned such daily diligence is the most important attitude in life.
The highlight of the Biennale is an exhibit by an Indonesian artist titled Into the Abyss. The artist used knitted sea creatures to recreate Indonesia's coral reefs, letting visitors think about the gloomy reality they are facing.
The coral reefs that are vital for the marine ecosystem are dying out, and through the simple craft technique of crocheting and knitting, the artist conveyed the severity of the matter. The process of making the artwork also gave women in the local community a way to support themselves.
Life is about sharing. It's so beautiful to share our knowledge, our ability, and so we are in the social life. We have to take care of each other.
In the words of the Belgian craftsman Piet Stotmans, who brought his porcelain art to the Culture Factory, everything can be craft, though categories may differ. With such a notion, the Craft Biennale's significant messages are inspiring visitors. 김보경, 아리랑 뉴스, 청주.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. We start off in the U.S., where the remains of 2 more people who died at the World Trade Center in New York on September 11, 2001, were identified on Tuesday. The 1,646th victim of the World Trade Center attack was identified as Dorothy Morgan, while a man whose name is being withheld at the family's request was identified as the 1,647th victim. The identification of Morgan was confirmed through DNA testing of remains recovered in 2001, while the unnamed man was confirmed through DNA testing of remains recovered in 2001, 2002, and 2006.
These were remains that we had kept going back to over the years as the technology had advanced, and it needed that most modern technology to finally, because those samples were degraded and very little DNA. So we're very fortunate that the most modern techniques that we're applying now were used on these and finally able to get enough DNA to make an identification.
Speaking to a local news broadcaster, Morgan's daughter expressed her shock and pain at the announcement.
It was a shock. It was a shock. I think that's the only thing I can say. It was really shocking. It's like you're reliving it all over again.
The announcement also comes just days before the U.S. marks 20 years since the tragic attacks. However, after nearly 2 decades, some 40% of those who died at the World Trade Center remain unidentified. Over to India, where a boat carrying around 100 passengers sank in India's northeastern state of Assam on Wednesday after a collision with another boat. According to the police, locals assisted in the rescue operation along with other disaster response forces. So far, 42 people have been rescued, while 1 girl was confirmed to have died in the collision. At least 30 more people are still missing. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the accident, saying that all possible efforts are being made to rescue the remaining passengers. The boat was also carrying several 4-wheelers and 2-wheelers that sank as well. And finally, over in Germany, German automaker BMW unveiled the world's first electric vehicle that's also 100% recyclable. BMW's iVision circular concept car was created with secondary material so that the automakers can use the same material from one car to produce a new car.
There is a vision about recycled only use of secondary material. So that means everything what we use here on this car is secondary material, but it is designed to be disassembled to reuse it again. So let's say we can use the same material of this car to produce a new car.
Dudek added that along with the idea of creating a 100% recyclable car, the general idea of this car is to create something that's 100% circular. 이승재, 아리랑 뉴스.
Good morning. It looks to be another fine day to enjoy the early autumn weather across the country. A breezy start will turn into a much warmer afternoon, leading to big gaps of more than 10 degrees Celsius in most regions. Well, it was such a refreshing afternoon yesterday after all those rain and dark clouds. And for today, central regions will be enjoying more blue skies, but there should be more clouds in the south, but most areas will have strong UV rays during the day today. Daily highs will be rising fast along with the sunshine, so Seoul will be warmer today with highs going up about a couple degrees higher today to 29 degrees. Daejeon, Gwangju, Busan will be at 28 degrees this afternoon. Well, the weather looks promising for the next few days with warmer highs under sunny skies, but Jeju Island will receive rain on Friday into Saturday. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with our next newscast at noon Korea time. Thank you for watching.